Hello everyone, my name is Zaina Sumi and I'm a staff librarian at Marshall University Library in Acquisitions and Collection Development. I'm also a graduate student in our School Library Media program. Today I would like to discuss some possible tips to assist in searching the Library of Congress online catalog specifically for juvenile books, books written for children and young adults. You might be accustomed to doing your book searches in WorldCat or Novelist Plus, the database, but the Library of Congress does differ in some of its features, and I'm hoping to provide some tips today that will help you. You can access the catalog in this top right menu here, or here in the center on the left under Library Catalog. And what's nice about this is there are some really great tips. You can start with browse and read through those choices, and keyword search has some great tips as well. But I'm going to recommend the advanced search. When I first started using this resource, I was finding that I was catching a lot of titles that were adult titles, or not finding as many juvenile books as I expected to find. So I spent a lot of time on this, and I also wrote to a librarian and got some great tips, so I'm hoping this helps you. But one thing I've found is that you can, let's say if we're looking for books for young adults, we'll start with something like adolescence, and we've got choices here with any, all of these, any or as a phrase. The as a phrase has been useful, and I would suggest that at some point you may find that that is a better way to find what you're searching for. Keyword and subject are two of the, I think, best ways you can search, but I'm going to leave this as keyword. And with your Boolean, let's try making this just juvenile, and again leaving it keyword, and we will select fiction and see what that gets us. Let's add some limits. I would recommend reviewing this advanced search tip as well. That gives you information on the wildcard and other good tips. Let's add our limits in. You can do a date range, but I always like to start by casting the net wide, and just to get a sense of what's available, and then I can trim down from there. I've looked through, I did enough checking to learn that the juvenile books are mostly cataloged in the general collection, so that would really be the place to start. I will point out that this children's literature reference collection really is reference work. It links back to the children's, the Center for Children's Literature, I believe it's called, and it's really more for researchers. So if you're looking for content written for children, the best place to go is general collections. I found that the place of publication didn't seem to impact my search as much, but definitely if I really am looking for books, I would suggest that, and also English. And let's search. That brings us 184 titles, and as you scroll through you can see these call numbers, the PZ, that's another indicator that you did find juvenile content. Another thing that I like to do is select a title and then just review it for keywords that might help you lead to other wording or phrases that can help you find the kind of books that you're looking for. When we're in a search, we can either choose this drop down and refine our search or return to our list, but we're going to refine our search right now. Okay, so what we're trying now is the phrase young adult literature, and a tip that I received from one of the librarians that answered my email was to use this code that the catalogers add to a lot of the records. Let's see what this yields. Okay, so we didn't have success with that last search, but what I did was switch back to juvenile literature as a phrase and that code LCAC, and now we'll see if we find better results. 208 titles. And we can see that this is nonfiction as we were looking for. And we could change that over to fiction or not nonfiction, has sometimes worked for me also. Quickly, let's try looking for something for younger readers, and we're going to go with a very broad term, animals, with the phrase juvenile literature and that code again, the LCAC, and see where that leads us. And that gives us almost, well, 3,800, almost 3,800 titles. So that's when we really might want to look at our date range, refine our search, and I've been doing a 5-year range in my searches, and we'll see what that does. That brings us down to 4 titles. And since that was a very short list, I edited our search, I refined it again, and this time I changed it to fiction, and we had over 30 titles. So you can see that you just might need to play with it a little bit to try to get the results that you're looking for. Another thing I wanted to mention is in my research and testing, I found that another way to look would be notes. So you might try an age range, because when we're looking about content, the note field, the 521 field, I believe, should show you. So you would have to write something like age 12 up, or another thing that I tried is illustrated. So if we're looking for picture books, this usually has resulted in pretty good list coming back to me. 16 titles, this were from the last 5 years. And so I hope that you see that some things you can do, or think about the note field. Try that LCAC code that she recommended. That's another way. And when you find a list, you can of course send it to yourself. You can download it, you can print it, you can you know, keep your results in several different ways. But I hope that these tips have helped you. Another thing in the browse search, let's see if I can get back there real quickly. Okay, I did some searching when I first started my project, and to find information about the PZ classification, and this really did help me to know what call numbers I might be looking for. And this is the juvenile belles lettres. So in the browse function, I did enjoy just putting in PZ, because you can select call numbers and even PZ7, but of course you might try PZ5 and so on. But you could, this will really feel like a list to you, and you can just keep going and keep going, and it gives you a really broad idea. But this is a good way to just find some titles and take a look at some of the keywords that are associated with this record. I'm strange in that I like to look at MARC records. I, for some reason, read those almost more quickly. But I just think that's another good option. So good luck. I tried to keep this brief. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you find a lot of great books. Let's keep reading.